Hi guys. So I'm going to do the bookwork as a video. Hopefully from now on, the biggest difference to know with the difference between pre-calc and algebra 2 with these graphs is that it's going to be in radians, so that's different. And also you can't use your calculator, so it's in radians and it's non-calculator, so you should be keeping those things in mind. Before we even start, two things that you have to know without really anything, just have memorized, is the graph of sine x. So y equals sine x. You got starts at 0, 0, increases, decreases. So there's one cycle of it, and that's 2 pi. So that's pi. So its max here is at pi over 2. That maximum occurs at pi over 2. And then this minimum here occurs at 3 pi over 2. So those you should know in radians, that have that memorized. And then cosine x, same thing. So cosine x, this one starts up at 1. Obviously the max is 1 and the min's -1. You should know that from last year. But the cosine starts high here and then goes low, goes to its minimum and comes back up to, ends at the maximum point there. So again, this is the cycle of 2 pi, which means cosine hits its minimum at pi, and then the zeros here are at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 are the other points. So these should just be like memorized. If you don't have them already, you should be able to draw them, picture them quick. So slow that down if you have to, go back, do it again, and make sure that makes sense to you. Okay, so the first part, the matching part, the answers are here, but if I was going to pick sine x, I know in my head already that I have this picture of sine x starting at 0, 0, increasing and decreasing. So yeah, that's going to be cycle is 2 pi. That's going to look like this guy. So G there for sine x. Cosine x, I just talked about on the first page. That is going to start at its maximum, come down minimum. Again, cycle is 2 pi. So where's that guy? That guy is, oh, right here, A. I keep forgetting the answers are already there. A. I was doing it without the answers. The negative out in front, this is going to be, do you guys, you should know this from our transformations, but that's a reflection in the x-axis. So here I picture sine x, I know looks like this. So then negative sine x is going to be the opposite of that, right? It's going to reflect it in the x-axis. It's going to start at 0, 0, but then instead of going high first, it's going to go low first and then come down and go high. So this is what I'm looking for here, which is E. D would be the same thing with cosine. So off to the side here, I would picture cosine. I know looks like this. There's cosine x. So if I want negative cosine x, I know I'm looking for something that starts low and then comes back to the low point. That would be the reflection. So that, of course, is D. Period is all the same so far. So here's where the period starts changing. When you have a number here, in the general form, hopefully you watched the video, A sine, oops, Bx plus C is the general form. So this is the amplitude here. That's what makes it go, that's a vertical stretch, so it'll make it go higher or lower than 1 and -1. And then this is the period in here. This is how you find the period. You do 2 pi over b to find the period. So hopefully that that tells you the frequency right there, right? B is the frequency, how many times it'll cycle through in 2 pi. So 2 pi over the frequency will give you the period. So that would be 2 pi over 2, which means your period is pi. So that means it's going to take pi, it's gonna cycle through in pi. So I know sine x, normal sine x looks like this, and this is going to cycle all the way through in just pi there, and then it'll cycle through again. So this one looks like B. Notice the cycle goes through and it only took pi to do it because that's the period. 2 pi over B. 6 would be H. Same thing with cosine now. It just is the same thing, but it only takes pi. This is the amplitude, so that's the changing of the amplitude, which should be easy to pick out there. Sine x would make it go up to 2 and -2, and then same with that. So F and C for the last two. Those are pretty easy. Okay. Okay, so now when I go to graph something like this, I immediately think of my parent function, which is cosine x. So I know that cosine x looks like this. And the only thing that's going to be different here is that our amplitude has to be 2. So I'm going to be going up to 2 instead of 1. So I'm going to pause it and then you guys can. Sorry, I'm unpausing it to show you the scale. You should show me every pi over 2. So here I'm going to go, here's pi over 2, that's 90, 180. This is 270, 3 pi over 2, and this is 2 pi, 360. And I'm going to go backwards to, so -2 pi, -pi, negative over 2, -2. Okay. Okay, here's one cycle of it. So one cycle of it's going to take 2 pi. You obviously could go backwards and graph another cycle of it if you wanted to. Make sure when you're doing your graphs that they look curved, not pointed. It's obviously going to continue on forever. There's y equals 2 cosine x. Ignore that, sorry. Okay, next one, I'm going to think about what this does. The sky is my reflection in the x-axis, and this guy is my amplitude. So I'm just going to start over here off to the side. I'm just going to make myself a sketch. Here's sine x. Always start with the sketch of sine x, and then I know I want to reflect it, so then that's going to look like this. There's negative sine x, and then the 2 is just the amplitude, so I know I'm going to want to go up and down to 2. So this is huge over here. What I'm doing first, I make that sketch first before I start actually graphing it. So now my graph can be clean and perfect. There's my one cycle. Obviously, you could go back if you wanted to, but here is pi equals -2 sine x. Okay, you guys, we have a guest. So Andrew's on my lap. If you hear baby noises, that's why, sorry. So now this one, this is the amplitude. And this time our B is 1/4, which we know that that's the frequency. So that's going to change our period. So to find the period, you should be doing always 2 pi divided by B. So if I do 2 pi divided by 1/4, keep in mind, remember this is always all non-calc. I'm going to multiply by 4 to get the 4 out of the denominator, top and bottom by 4. Let me get that out of the way. So then this looks like the period is going to be 8 pi. So it is going to take 8 pi for me to get through a full cycle. So I am going to go, we're going to call 2 pi. Okay, since I don't have to get out to 8 pi, I'm just going to make this 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi. And then I'm going to do my other cycle backwards. You could go out to 16 pi this way to show 2 cycles. I'm going to go backwards. Oh, Andrew, no, don't hit that. Okay. 8 pi. Okay, so now we're sine again. So here's my sine, regular sine. And we need to go up to 2 and down to 2, and it's taking us 8 pi to get through a cycle, which means this is 4 pi in the middle, then I'm hitting 0 there. Notice I'm using my sketch. Amplitude's 2, so we're going to go max. minimum, bam. There's my graph. Obviously, we can go back as well, as long as I don't mess this up. Are you saying hi? Yeah. Okay. Last one. All right. See if you can do this one on your own. Okay, so here's my scale. I know it's only going to take pi to get through a cycle, and I'm going to do my little sketch. So we're starting maximum, minimum, back up to the maximum. And I know I need to go to up to 5, 5, and down to -5 at the minimum. Oh, we're also reflecting in the x-axis, so this isn't going to look like this. Let's just redo. We're actually going to be starting minimum going high, so this is cosine x. This is negative cosine x. And I know that I'm only going to take pi to get here, so I have a little sketch in my head of what I'm doing now. So here's 5. I'm going to be hitting my maximum in the middle here at pi over 2. And then back down to my minimum. Perfect. And I'm just going to do the same thing going backwards. Oh no. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but now we have a toddler crying in the background. Okay, thank God this is almost over. This was a rough one. Here we go. Okay. Yay. Hopefully that helped. Bye, guys.